Now, today's episode is a little bit different. We're going to do something fun. We want to do an episode on wedding tips for couples, right? But we're going to try to keep it fun so anyone who isn't even got a wedding coming up or is not thinking of getting married can still have some fun with this. So we're going to kick it off with something pretty funny that we basically put out on our social media. We put out a question. We said, hey guys, give us some questions that you might have for us so that we can answer your questions on the pod. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to keep this one anonymous because...
Yeah, what's the point?
It's quite funny. But, all right, so we got a question in that said, do you ever use the toilet at bride and groom prep, or is it better to wait till you find an on the run on the way?
That's gold.
But let me just...
I think every photographer and videographer can relate to that. That's hilarious.
A big part of our job is that in the morning of a wedding day, you've really got to control those bowel movements. You need to know whether or not you go or whether or not you stay and just wait it out. Because sometimes you could be at the middle of prep and you're just thinking to yourself, oh, I've got to wait throughout this whole prep, the whole ceremony. And if the photo shoot's kicking off straight after the ceremony, there is no time to go to the
people
toilet.
Don't realize that's probably a big part of our job is time. Like some days I dead set can't go to the toilet until the reception. And even then you can't, like, the second you leave, maybe they're going to enter or whatever. You've literally got to be on the ball all the time. So I think the first time I feel really comfortable to actually go to the toilet for 2 minutes is once they've entered, once they've sat down and when they're eating their food. I'm like, I've got cake, 2 minutes. We're good. And then even then it's like, fuck, sometimes everyone's like, oh, where'd you go? I swear to God, every time I disappear to go to the toilet, everyone's like, where is she? Like this is the first time I've been in 8 hours.
Tell you.
No, but it's true. And that's hilarious. I love that. It's whoever put that through.
It is a great question and we will answer it. But I just wanted to share something else that this person has shared with us, a story.
I haven't heard this. So.
And this has to be covered because it had me in stitches. So here we go. They wrote, I've had the fucking sweats one morning. The tiny Airbnb had one toilet right near where the bridesmaids were getting ready. I just couldn't ruin their morning like that. By the time we finished at bride prep, I was about to shit in the car. Consider digging a hole. Thankfully, an on the run was close. Also, no matter how many times I pee before I leave to a wedding, I'll need to pee right before I arrive.
That's a very good point.
So annoying. That is...
Look, whoever that is, we've all been there. It's okay.
Anyway, thank you for sending that in because I literally almost shit myself last night reading it. It was hilarious.
Yeah, but it's a valid point. Like, you want to be professional, and I think it's true. Like, you get nerves. I need to go to the toilet multiple times before I get to a wedding. It's just nervous. But I think it's more because you don't want to do that.
Right.
There's nothing worse than being in that position and being in a room full of people you've never met.
Literally any time I get nervous, I have to go to the loo.
Yeah, but I think we're talking about two different types of loo experiences. I don't ever do that in public, firstly.
Do what in public?
Go to the loo.
In public? You don't go to the loo in public? What do you mean? Like out in the open or like go to a public toilet? What are we talking about?
I have never... Is this too much information for you?
No, let's hear it. This is good.
I have a serious fear of going to the toilet, like the second one. I don't even like talking about it. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't ever do that in public. I will never go there in a public toilet.
What if you're at like a venue?
Like if I'm at... No, never. I can tell you I have never done that at a wedding ever in my life. Ever.
Wow, what?
Yeah. No, I will make sure that doesn't happen. I have a fear of public toilets.
You know what you do have? You have, what are they called? The tablets?
Oh, yeah.
Gastro
stop.
No,
that's in my wedding survival kit for myself, or if a bride sometimes. Every photographer, videographer, you thought I was weird for doing this, but I've got a pack in my car that contains like Panadol, Nurofen, hay fever tablets, Gastro Stop. Hey, bridesmaids might need it one day. It comes in handy. And even then, it's just in my back of my mind. I've even gotten Danzatron. If someone's like vomiting, you can actually give them that. And it's the wafer that goes under there.
Wild, whatever
but
that. I've never heard
I
of
like
that.
to be prepared.
Right.
But it doesn't, I've honestly, I've never had to use it, but I've had like a groomsman one day couldn't even open his eyes because he had the worst hay fever. So I gave him a Claritin and he was good. So I think it's important.
That's a good tip actually for wedding photographers, videographers, celebrants.
Well, it's just handy.
Bring some supplies.
Just bring some supplies. Like I always have a couple of lollies in my bag, muesli bar. Like if someone, you eat all mine. But yeah, lollies and things like that, just in case it's a big day. And I've had like a bridesmaid that was nearly fainting one day, so we had a muesli bar in the car. I just gave her that quickly. But yeah, just to be prepared for the little things that you don't expect to happen. But on that note, toilets are. I get it because it's a fear of mine, but I've never done that. So,
well, before every wedding, I thought it was just me. And then I started asking different people. I'm like, before you leave to go to prep, like, are you like, no, I'm for some reason just feel the need to make myself empty.
Yeah.
And we can put 2 and 2 together. But I do not want to leave this house. And the night before, just make sure you're not eating like a Rogan Josh or lasagna.
Pre-plan.
Just make sure you're eating something,
lasagna.
Clean and that's not oily.
No, but it is true.
This podcast has gone down a dark road.
No, but it's a prep. Like, there's so much more to this that people don't realize. Well, this probably flows into one of my questions that I received. But, it is a big thing because it's something I'm the same. Like, I have that fear that I need to go because I can do it in the comfort of my own home.
Right.
But I don't like...
So you got a fear of using the public toilet?
I don't know what that's got to do with weddings.
Well, is it like a germ thing or is it more like a...
Look, I am a bit of a germaphobe, but there's just something about public toilets. It's just being uncomfortable. There's other people in the room. What if you get to the point
where you will use it if you...
Well, if I'm desperate, obviously I have to. But like I can genuinely say to you, I cannot remember the last time I went somewhere in public, unless you're obviously staying somewhere or in a hotel or whatever.
Right.
But like if I'm at a wedding, fuck no. No.
I think you're weird for thinking like that.
Yeah, probably. Absolutely. But I'm fine with that decision.
You'll see me walking in and out of the toilet. No problem.
You've told me before and I'm like, did you seriously just do that? Ew. What if someone walked in?
What walked in where?
Well, I think it's... No,
what kind of idea of the toilet do you have?
If it just... this has gone down a path. But anyway, on to my question.
This is stuff people want to know. This is the ins and outs of what we do.
Okay, I will never leave your wedding to go to the toilet for longer than 2 minutes. Because I drink a lot of water. But that's about it. Brad, however, maybe go on for 20 minutes at a time.
Now that we're not airing this.
We just talked about me shitting for 20 minutes.
I'm just saying, if I'm at we're 9 minutes in talking about shit. But if I'm at a wedding, and I need to go, okay, let me tell you the philosophy behind this.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling uncomfortable,
completely,
I'm not going to do a great job. So allow me to feel comfortable for being okay with me leaving for 3 minutes.
Yeah, but and let's be clear, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you doing that.
And let's stop saying me. This is everyone. Everyone goes to the loo, Karina. You're the odd one for not going to the loo.
I will put my hands up and agree with you wholeheartedly on that. But I'm standing by my decision and I like to do it in the privacy of my own home. But anyway... So one of the questions, it was hard to pick out of my questions, but I felt like this one is a pretty extreme one, by the way, but a bit of a pre-wedding tip. So it's a bit hard to keep this one anonymous, but is your brother's wedding the biggest fail you've seen so far?
What happened at your brother's wedding?
My brother will kill me for talking about this because I think he's going to be scarred forever. But that actually came from my sister-in-law, so Let's
hear it. I actually don't know this story.
So yeah, my brother has a bit of we have a running joke in our family. He's always like, if there's a major event or something, there's always, a hospital trip or something for my brother, right? So anyway, I did their photos. On the morning of the photos at prep, he was a bit like, I just thought he was anxious, a bit nervous, which is fine. He gets a bit sick. Which is normal. Yeah, and he just said he wasn't feeling well. And that's fine. Like, just toughen up because, I'm really...
You say that a lot.
I do. It's a bit rough. But yeah, anyway, and it's just like, yeah, you're right. You're just nervous, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we get to the ceremony and he looked really pale. I was like, are you okay? And he same thing. He was just like, yeah, look, I don't feel well. I'm like, it's okay. You're probably just nervous. It's fine. He got through the ceremony. And then I started taking family photos. And during family photos, he's like, sis, I have to go to the toilet. I'm like, really? I'm like, seriously, can you just hold it for like 10 minutes? I'll get through this quick. He's like, no, I got to go. And he bolted to the toilet. I'm so sorry, bro, but... He bolted to the toilet and the poor guy, he got food poisoning.
Oh, no.
So they went a can't remember if it was the morning of, they went and played golf or something. Yeah, even in his vows, it was like, I'll support you through hospital visits and this and that. Literally, we didn't get through family photos, so we got a couple, but then we went off to bridal party photos and we had to stop so we were there taking photos and he was over in the corner throwing up. My poor sister-in-law was like, fuck. Anyway, credit to him, he tried to push through and he wasn't good. But yeah, we ended up heading to the beach and he had to stop and at a friend's house, and he had to be sick again. But anyway,
that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it's not a good story, and I'm not laughing because it's funny, but now
it's hilarious.
But we got to the beach, he got through and he pushed through like a trooper. But then after that, I had to drive him and my sister-in-law in a wedding dress to the Noarlunga Hospital emergency, and they pumped him full of everything they could to try and stop him vomiting.
So he got real bad.
We were in the Noarlunga. Literally, my sister-in-law was standing next to the hospital bed while he's laying there with a drip in his arm in her wedding dress.
That's it. Did you take photos in there?
Oh, they ended up I think she was in like That's Life and The Advertiser and everything. It was pretty full on.
That's good.
But
it's not good. It's hilarious.
But yeah, he anyway, he came back and we got
But imagine
through.
you're with your best friend, you're getting married, you're both in the hospital on your wedding day. I'd be doing the peace signs.
Social media wasn't as big back then. I would have taken way more advantage of it if I knew. But yeah, we took him back to the reception after they'd given him everything they could, and he lasted for probably an hour, and then he had to go out the back and he was just vomiting the whole time.
Aww.
So then he left his own wedding.
What's his name?
Dylan.
Thanks, Dylan, for the story, but that's sad.
It's sad. They had a bit of a rerun.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did any of the accidents happen anywhere that is a little bit?
No.
Okay.
That's not juicy.
Nah.
Literally. Oh my God. He's going to kill me. But they did a rerun. They're still married. That's beautiful. He got through. We did some photos. It wasn't obviously the same, but we got her back in the wedding dress and we did some photos afterwards. But the point of that is just be careful what you eat before a wedding. Be prepared. I know it's, again, a bit of a, funny one. People don't think about it, but yeah, don't be silly. Like, be smart with your choices the night before. Even me to this day. So up until
don't eat raw salmon.
Pre-COVID,
prawns.
Every night before a wedding, probably for 6 years, I'd say, I would have vegetarian pasta with a tomato sauce religiously. No meat, nothing. I had the same meal before a wedding every time. But then last year when I did 70 weddings, I couldn't because, carbs ain't my friend. So I had to rein it in. But like even then I was too scared to eat meat. Not too scared. I was just cautious. So
no, it's a good. Yeah. I mean, as a wedding vendor, you have to be.
It's it's a big fear of mine because obviously, we want to make sure that we're there for your day and you obviously need to be there for your day. But don't be my brother. And I can't even remember what he ate. I think it was like bacon or eggs or something. It wasn't even that.
See, I wouldn't have even thought that would cause that.
But
that's
anyway,
interesting.
Long story, but yeah,
it's funny because on the lead up to a wedding day, like I me, I do hikes all the time, but I like to eat clean and I like to get outdoors and get in the sunshine and things like that before a wedding. It's just like you said, you want to be prepared. You want to make sure you're at your healthiest, your happiest, and before you capture a wedding day. So
exactly, yep. So yeah, just think about that kind of thing. I know it's something probably crosses, slips people's minds. Sorry, but yeah, it's just the little things. I guess it's your big day. You don't want to not be there, and you don't want to be feeling crappy, I guess.
No. Good. That's a good point. Now, obviously, we've just talked about essentially shitting your pants and vomiting and ending up in the ICU.
Wow.
We do have another question that has come in that we want to answer, which is a good question actually. Is what's more important, a photographer, videographer with great attitude or mad skills?
Ooh.
Now, basically, I think what the question is, let's say
you're a good person but can't take a photo, or
you're a shit person and you have mad skills.
Great skills. That's a fascinating question.
I've actually got a good answer for this. So I think, and the reason why you and I both do documentary style filmmaking and photography is because the couple will, as long as the couple is comfortable, they're going to feel the best to be themselves. And when they're themselves, they're obviously going to be affectionate, and they're going to feel comfortable about being affectionate and having fun in front of you. If you're someone that comes in with a shit attitude, it's gonna, and I've seen this firsthand, and we don't want to, let's not go into it, but I've seen vendors come in and they've got a shit attitude on the day, and it really does. It's unfortunate. It brings the tude down of the day,
and it even brings our mood down.
Ooh, and
like,
more so that
hard.
I get almost offended because I'm like, obviously I've got my job to do, and let's say there's a photographer. We're two completely different companies. So if I come in and I'm like super pumped, ready for the day, and that person's just in a shit mood, for me, I feel like it reflects part of me, and I do not.
Well,
like
because
that
you're with them
all.
the entire day. I think as well, I get a bit protective of the couple when in those situations, because I've had that before. Yeah. I've had a videographer before where the same thing. Like, again, they've just come in and they weren't in a good mood. They were tired. They were this, and they weren't complaining in front of the couple, but they were complaining to me, and I was just like, fuck, like, this is going to be a long day.
Yeah.
But I was then
when
distracted.
they start complaining at prep, you're like, oh
yeah,
God,
and well, that's what happened. And it was distracting me because I was trying to not hide that, but I was trying to protect my couple from that because they don't need to deal with that.
Right.
So and it was just unprofessional, and it just not good. But I think it's a very good question, because obviously you need your photographer or videographer to have good skills, but personality is huge. Like, if you are not comfortable with us,
if you were to say one or the other, I would definitely pick good attitude.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Because if the person that is photographing and filming your wedding both have a good attitude, that the skills kind of fall off a bit, because really they're capturing you guys being so happy and comfortable in front of them. If you're uncomfortable and they have great skills, you guys aren't going to look like you, and it might be a great looking photo, but you guys are going to look at it and be like, that's not us.
Exactly.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
So that's a fantastic question, by the way. I've never thought about that.
Me either.
And we really appreciate it. And we're gonna continuously. We got more questions, but we're gonna answer them in like a part 2. We're gonna do a different video because they were different kind of topics. But really appreciate everyone kind of submitting questions, because we love answering them, and we get stories about people shitting themselves and stuff. So it's absolutely fantastic.
It always goes back to that, doesn't it?
It does. It's great. Today's episode, we are going to be focusing on tips for your wedding, because believe it or not, we actually do work in the wedding industry.
We do.
We make videos on everything but weddings.
Yep.
But today we're going to talk strictly about weddings, which is exciting.
It is.
Where should we start?
No, I think we just thought it'd be a good idea to have a bit of a chat about some common, obviously, weddings is what we do the majority of the time. And there's things that people think about. I get asked a lot, what's your favorite horror story from a wedding, or what's the worst thing that's ever happened?
That's the most asked question.
When I said often.
When I said I was doing this podcast, everyone's like, you should talk about horror stories.
Yeah.
Problem is, I don't have too many horror stories.
I don't have a lot. I guess horror stories, people just want drama, but that's not good.
We want drama too, because we want to be able to share it. But no, there's not too much drama, which is great. There shouldn't be too much drama. If you've got a trusted lineup of wedding vendors, there's not much that can go wrong.
And I think that's probably my number one tip. And again, we're no experts as such, but obviously we are around it. How
many years have you been in weddings?
Well, I've shot weddings for 12 years. Obviously, in the last 5 years, a lot more.
You are an expert on weddings.
I've just been around it a lot. So, every wedding day is different, but we do obviously experience the same things. But probably my biggest thing I always say to my couples is make sure that you pick vendors that you trust. So not just trust, but that, you've either had a good experience with them in the past, you've had good feedback, you know their work, but especially for people like us, we understand that it's very intimidating sometimes and very daunting when you're planning a wedding. There are so many people to choose from, and it can be overwhelming. So I guess my biggest tips, especially to people that come to me like friends or family or someone, who do you recommend for this or this? There are so many people out there with such amazing skills and different types of styles of things. So I think that's my thing. A big thing from wedding photo and video, I always say to couples, make sure, and this is probably why we enjoy working together a lot, is because our style is very similar. So that's a big deal to me, because there's nothing worse than going to a wedding and working with a videographer whose style is completely different to yours. And again, it's nothing to do with their work. Their work is great, but if it's different to our style, like we're very candid-y, natural, relaxed. Sounds wanky saying that, but it's true because we want to capture those natural emotions and make you feel comfortable, have fun. Not so much that, we set up pose shots as such in terms of getting good lighting and, making you feel comfortable if you don't know how to stand.
Right, but we're not spending 5 to 10 minutes setting up.
Like I can't
and
stand when we set it up.
There's nothing wrong with photographers and videographers that do set up shots. No. It's just a different style.
It's just style.
And ask, whenever you do go through the search of looking for the vendors that you want, especially with your photo and video, ask them what their style is. I mean, all over my website for 22 Wedding Films, I've got that we're a documentary style wedding filmmaking studio.
And mine's the same as Capture. My quote or tagline as such is capturing life. So I love to capture things as it unfolds, essentially. Right. So we're there. We have a plan. We know what we need to capture, but I also enjoy capturing things as they happen. So, if I'm seeing someone, if someone's crying, if dad's got a tear or grandma's, laughing, I'll get it because I love that. That's the stuff that I look for. Secondary, obviously, to the bride and the groom, but it's important to me to capture that. So, yeah, I think picking people that is your style, and also not just that, look at the post-production as well. So, you could meet someone who you really click with, great person, but then the way they edit their photos or their editing style may not be your style.
Right. So and I think before you even talk to a vendor, you would have, hopefully their website showcases, enough of their work that you are confident that this is the style that you're after. So I guess from a bride, from a couple's point of view, when they are looking at vendors, the first thing they look at is the website. Yeah. They'll see the style of work, and then the next thing is, well, are these people available? And let's book in a call. And that call is really important, just to jump on and just to chat.
I think you need to know if you gel with that person. So I always say to my couples, I always want to meet them because I don't want them to book me if they're not comfortable with me or if I'm not the right fit for their day. And I will be very honest about that with someone if I feel that or they feel that. It is very important to me because on the day if it's not what you want, if you want those posy shots, I'm not the person for you because I want you to get the most out of your day and I'm not comfortable and that's not my natural style. So yeah, picking vendors, not just, photo and video. Obviously that's a big thing because we work hand in hand, but picking people, venues and caterers and, celebrants. Celebrants is another big one. Make sure that you're picking a celebrant that fits your style because again, there are so many amazing celebrants out there, but if if you're a real serious person and you want something a little bit more, serious and professional and things like that, you make sure that you've got someone for that.
Not that anyone's not professional, but so that you got like loud, fun, vibrant celebrants. You got some celebrants that, focus more on the, getting the job done and in such a succinct and professional manner, depending on who you are as people.
Well, that's right. And just pick someone who's your style. So, and most people do, but I've definitely had occasions where I've been at weddings and worked with, say, a videographer, and their style is so different to mine. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. At the end of the day, you get the result you want from us, but it just means that there's nothing worse than me wanting you to do something natural and then they're over there posing you because then that's uncomfortable for you. And I can't get what I need from you as easily because we're doing two different things. So the thing with photo and video should just flow.
And a way that you can do this is actually typically when couples are booking for their wedding, they'd probably go for the venue. They might then go for a photographer, celebrant, and then videographer later down the track. Although I have been getting inquiries where they're coming to the videographer first, which is a nice feeling, and I never know what to do. I'm like, what? You don't have a photographer? Karina Lane, K Photography, hit her up. So one of the good things that you can actually do to make sure this works in your favor, because you're probably sitting there going, well, how do I know that this photographer and videographer work together? And you just have to ask. When you inquire with these people, most vendors will have a supplier list. So these are people that they either, they feel very comfortable working with and they have a good time with them. And, when you ask them, you say, hey, who, let's say you're booking in a photographer, who do you work with? They'll give you a list of videographers 9 times out of 10, because they actually would prefer to be working with people that they've worked with previously that they really enjoy working with. So,
and, having a team of vendors that work work well together is such an advantage to you as a couple.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
you know, we know how each other work. We can it just flows so nicely. And yeah, there's nothing better than rocking up to a wedding and, you know, seeing someone of my favorite celebrants.
Yeah, you're like, let's go.
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's do this.
So fun.
Yeah.
But also, like, I know how amazing they are, and I know that your day is going to be like set if you've got people like that. So I think that's a big one. And a big thing for me, which I've always said to you and a lot of people, is you do get what you pay for.
Yes.
That is a big thing for me, in the sense that, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you earned this much for one day, blah, blah. Like, that does my head in, because yes, we charge what we charge, but we charge what we charge for a reason. There's so much that goes into a wedding pre and post, and, you know, the experience that you get for what you pay for is so valuable, because I have literally had people come to me who went to book me and then it wasn't in their budget, or they decided to get a family friend or something. And honestly, 9 times out of 10, those people have come back, and I've had 2 people come to me and say, can you fix this?
Yeah.
And I can't fix that. Like, it just is what it is. And, you know, something like photos and video is something you can't really redo. So paying for the things that, you know, are important. I mean, everything's important on your wedding day, but work out what's most valuable to you.
Right.
And if it is photos, then make sure you invest that budget into that. If it's flowers, invest it into that. But sort of work out what is best for you.
And what you want to prioritize.
Yeah, what you want to prioritize, and put the budget into that. But you absolutely do get what you pay for. I do believe in that.
And there's nothing wrong with, let's say budget is an issue. I'm not even sure what the advice would be there, but if budget's an issue, what we've seen previously, and luckily, touch wood, I don't experience it a lot, but you know, I've rocked up at weddings where they've said, oh, my friend is the photographer. And it's difficult to explain, but when you have another vendor that isn't aware of how a wedding runs and what needs to be captured at each formality, say groom prep, bride prep, ceremony, photo shoot, reception, it just makes the whole day awkward. Whereas if you if you book in people that have been doing weddings for years, they're very experienced, they are going to cost you more. However, they work in succinct. They work together, and we know exactly what we need to capture. There's no fluffing around. And it just makes the day so much easier, so much less awkward for the couple.
And I think it goes back to what we've spoken about previously, in that this is your day. You don't want to be stressing about things on the day. So
no.
You know,
and you don't want your inexperienced photographer being taught by the videographer on your wedding day what needs to be done, or vice versa, because it's honestly,
and look, it has happened. It definitely has happened, but it's a stress that you don't want on your day. So, you know, investing in someone who knows what they're doing and has the experience to be out, and especially on a wedding day, there are so many things. A wedding day is the most uncontrolled environment for, you know, what we do.
You never know what's going to happen.
You never know what's going to happen. And you need to be able to think quickly. You need to be able to, you know, if something goes wrong, you got to fix it. You got to think on your feet. You got to do that.
And we've got plenty of stories.
Oh, we have so many stories, but you have to be able to deal with that and not crumble and not be able to not fix it. So, you know, a lot of things can happen, but it is a big, it's a big thing. You get what you pay for. So
it's a big deal.
I guess just be happy with or do your research, I guess.
Do your research, and just know that, and it's fine if the budget's an issue, but if you do go for someone who is charging half the price than everyone else is charging, just be wary. That's all we're saying. Okay. Now, we don't want to sound like Debbie Downers, but that's a very important part to cover, is the quality of the people that you are booking. It's a big part of you know, it's a big decision for you guys to make, and it's just something that you need to take seriously, is what I think our point is. Yeah. We really appreciate you guys listening, and go ahead and subscribe to us over on YouTube, Everything But Weddings podcast on YouTube. Follow us. I've obviously had a very long day. I can't even speak English. Follow us over at Everything But Weddings pod on Instagram, and follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate you guys listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
'Cause all I want, and I pray, I believe in a better day.